Uh, so, censorship and disinformation. What is censorship? Censorship is when you're shut up because of other people thinking that things you're saying shouldn't be said. So you're shut up. Now, if you're in the front of a crowd of people, right, and you see something's wrong and you say it out loud, is there like a hand that's allowed to just come over and do that to you and censor you? No. So if you get online and you say something that you see happening, who gets to justify that that's misinformation and that should be censored? I think that's what we need to get down to the bottom of in this. Because we'll see. In 2020, I don't know what happened. In 2020, I don't know what happened except for the fact of I saw the COVID thing come out so fast and so strong. I kind of just, I mean, what, am I wrong for just kind of sitting back and wanting to watch the whole situation unfold? Am I wrong to want to look at the situation and go, man, everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing this. But I'm not. I'm not going to jump on that. No. So I don't remember saying anything that was too in-depth except for the fact that I didn't trust it. You know, I was never on the hate my government, hate my country, hate. I was never on any of that. Never. But what I was saying is what I seen happening in the streets around me. So, if, you got to understand, I have someone else in the house that's doing a lot of political stuff, like speaking their mind. And I didn't pay too much attention to that, though. But somebody outside of my household was paying attention to stuff and decided to add me in to what they wanted to make a bigger situation than it was. And that's exactly why we're at where we're at with these videos today. See, I knew when it was happening, what was happening. I just didn't understand the degree of it. I didn't understand the degree of it. I knew somebody was in my phone. I knew somebody was living in my phone, like legit in my Facebook. I knew that. So when everything goes down and I get sober, completely sober, I'm like, I'm going to watch them. I'm going to watch them and I'm going to catch them doing it. God bless if I didn't, right? God bless if I didn't. While they were still running their investigation on me, I'm now running an investigation on them. Because I'm like, wait a minute, what do you really want here? What are you fishing for here? What are you trying to do to me? Right? So, I get off probation. And I watch. And I wait. And I watch. And I wait. And I watch. And I wait. And I realized around the time that they're using Facebook again to try to get me connected to people. And I'm not going for it this time. I'm like, wait a minute. This is them again manipulating. And I'm not going to let them manipulate no more. So I stop. I fall back and I start making videos. I call people out on Facebook. And that's kind of like when everything hit the fan, was right there. Right when I did that and I did that little call out. And I said, look, like I can understand why you want me on your special pool. I don't understand as in 2020 how I got into it, how I got into their little like idea thing. But what I think it was my dad, what I'm thinking, which they already knew the circumstances of that whole situation, but they decided to play their little game and they tagged me onto that bill somehow. But then they don't have enough, right? So then they have to pull in their guys to pull me over so that they could get something on me to even act like they have something, right? Which is just some BS paraphernalia charge. That's it. But I'm guessing that's what they said is we just need something on them to start watching them. That's all we need. We just need something on them to start watching them. Guys, just because people don't have law degrees doesn't mean they're idiots. You don't ever undermine an American citizen. We are given brains for a reason here. So I see that whole thing, and I call out a few names, and that's when I started really going, you know what, enough is enough. Because now they got their DA coming to talk to me again, and they want to make sure that I'm going to go through with their situation, their story, knowing that the last couple times I've sat down with these guys and brought up about this whole thing with the feds watching me, and if they weren't watching me, I don't believe any of this would have happened. Well, that'll be the end of the investigation today. They never wanted to touch note on that, okay? They never wanted to touch note when I said to them, if the feds weren't watching me, this never happened. They didn't even want to discuss that. They kind of just look at me. And if they're not going to ask questions, I'm not going to provide answers. I'll just go about it my way. If they want to play their game, I'll play my game. So I say, after the second time I leave and I go find out, well, somebody doesn't want to give up my mother's murder paperwork, the paperwork from her murder case. They don't want me to see that because of the names that are in it. The names that are implicated in this are sick, really sick. So, because they knew. So then I start making videos about my mother's murder and how that came about. And I remember just wanting to get that story out before I did anything with anything else so that people could see what the pretext of this was, like what was going on years before this actually happened, what had already been given to me by this town that I grew up and stayed in, was raised in, stayed in, what they decided to give back to me as payment is to just let my mother's murder get pushed under the rug. And I want to know what them dossiers are for. I want to know what them dossiers are for because they clearly have an annual report for the police department over there. I want to know what's really going on in this situation, see. It's like they're allowed to have all the information they want for your phone to watch your phone, but when you start questioning what's going on and not falling into their little plan, what do they do then? What do they do then? Do they just keep everything under wraps as long as they can until something happens to you or until they can make a case look good for them on you to where they ain't got to worry about what you're doing? Because you would think that if they're talking about in the White House what they're talking about, and I'm on here talking about what I'm talking about, you would think that people would catch on to it and go, wait a minute. There's this person over in the corner of the internet that's really talking about everything that he's seeing going on is going on. I don't scare easily. I don't. I used to when I used drugs. I scared myself a lot real easy when I was using drugs. But when I'm not using anything, I don't scare easily. And I know that I can see the truth for what it was now. I can see the truth. And if I'm wrong, then, well, the names will be implemented and implicated in all this. I don't have to say I'm right or wrong. I could just tell my side of the story, right? I could say what I seen happen, and then it'll all just fall out, and they'll have to pick up the pieces and say, well, this is what this was, and this is what that was. And if I'm wrong about any of it, so be it. Because when you're in something like this, that your mind has to work like this to figure things out, you will literally look in every corner and every nook and cranny of what you can to figure out what really happened. Because I have that right to know. I have that right to know. You're not going to get me by guilty by association because of the people I was around my whole life. My whole life. And you want to say that one person out of nowhere became radical because of the shit they saw going on around them? Nobody became radical. Nobody became radical. People were just speaking their minds. Nobody was radical about nothing. People were just speaking their minds on social media, and you didn't want that information to get out because the moment that I start saying that stuff and you guys don't like me saying what I'm saying about your probation officers and the setups and the people, then you're like, oh, what do we do now? Well, we created a mess, didn't we? No, I'm trying to sweep that mess up right now. I got a dustpan over here. I'm going to get that out in a minute here and see if I can get some more stuff cleaned up for you. I'll try my best.